We were a team of 5 behind this project. So that was Andrea. Then excuse me, I have some difficulties to control the presentation now. Here we go. Florian, Benilton, Jan, and me. And so we all contributed equally to this project, and we brought forward a very diverse skill set. So our skills range from computer linguistics to qualitative policy analysis, and combining all of these skills has proven very useful for this project. So this is the question that we have been working on. And so this is a question about differences between STI strategies between countries regarding sustainability and the energy innovation system. And we really have focused in the end on innovation policies for energy transitions. And we have agreed to do that in conversation with our team leader, Joseba. We have less focused on comparing the strategies of different countries. And we have a bit more focused on also the sentence here at the bottom of the question, which says that this is a question concerning the formulation stage of the policy cycle, and that it would be interesting to explore different courses of action. So we have tried to do that in our project. So how have we done this? So first we have compiled the strategy corpus, prepared it for analysis, and read some of the strategies. And then we have moved on to identify statements in these strategies relevant in the context of energy transitions. Next, we have distinguished different strategic approaches, and then moved to country-level comparisons for a bit. Before then, moving on from the strategy corpus to the STIP compass, and tracing different strategic approaches in there. Then finally, that was the last step of our analysis, we have considered how the different approaches are put into action in policy initiatives. And well, in terms of the policy cycle, this means that so the first steps of our analysis were about the policy formulation, and then we have moved on to explore different paths of action in terms of the implications for policy design. To identify relevant statements concerning the energy transition in the strategies, how did we do that? So first we noted that the strategy corpus is very heterogeneous. There are 4 categories for strategies in there, and the largest one is about other national strategies. Some countries are represented there with many strategies, other just with a few strategies. And overall, only a small share of the statements in there matters in the context of energy transitions. So we decided to focus our analysis at the sentence level rather than comparing the full strategy documents. And as a side note, we used the translated text, but not the cleaned version that was provided in the dataset. So technically, we used sentence embeddings to do this. And the way that this works is that as an input, we use the sentence about energy transitions, and then we scanned all the strategies for sentences similar to that input sentence, which we call the pivot sentence. And we took the pivot sentence from the STIP compass. The STIP compass has a survey question which is about energy transitions, and you can read here the long description of it. We also experimented with another definition of energy transitions, and the results were quite similar, so we think that this approach is sort of valid, although of course very explorative for now. To the left here you see the 3 most similar sentences in the strategy corpus matching our definition. So Well, yeah, so this has to do with low carbon, with energy transition, and so on. So we found the right sentences, more or less. And to the right, you see a graph that shows how the average similarities of all the sentences in the strategies with our definition of energy transition increases over time. So it clearly increases over time. There's also a blip in 2014, but since from 2014 we only have 1 or 2 strategy documents in the whole corpus, this is probably just a random effect. There is quite a clear stable trend of increasing similarity. Next, we estimated a topic model, not on all of the strategies, but only on those sentences that we deemed relevant in the context of our definition of energy transitions. And it turned out that we got, well, in a model with 11 topics, 10 topics were quite useful. We think that they are rather coherent and relatively exclusive. And then, well, in this figure to the right, there is topic number 11 is missing, because that was a very large topic, but it didn't matter to our question. So to compare countries, we tried the following. The 23 countries that are represented in the strategy corpus, each of these countries we represented as a distribution across topics, a distribution just as the one that you see here to the right. And these distributions were used to calculate a distance matrix, and then we did a clustering on the distance matrix, and this is what came out of it. We identified 4 different clusters. Just scratching the surface of comparing these clusters. So here I present the first 2 ones. And maybe the most general characterization of these 2 clusters is that the strategies in these countries seem to be slightly, at least to some extent, they are diverse in the sense that they touch upon several topics that matter in the context of the green energy transition. And of course, I didn't say that before, so each topic is always characterized by the 4 most frequent words in this topic. It's kind of common methodology to characterize topics based on the top words. Yeah, and so one note on the figures, all countries that are listed in the legend are also present in the figures. We have an issue here potentially with overlapping transparent colored bars, which are kind of lying over each other. So sometimes you see a color in the figure, which is not really in the legend because it's really different colors on top of each other. So we have these 2 slightly diverse clusters, and our other 2 clusters look like this. They are smaller and they are very focused on, well, 1 topic or 1 or 2 topics. And this is slightly surprising. Maybe it's good because it indicates that we have topics that can kind of consistently describe the strategic approaches of some countries, but on the other hand, it's surprising. Why is it surprising? For example, it is surprising because we know that in the strategy corpus, many documents are from Germany. I think at least 20 or 30 documents. And so if a high share of documents in the strategy corpus is from Germany, it's surprising that we can reduce Germany to 1 topic. I would have expected more diversity here. But of course, this could also be due to methodological issues. What next? We decided to move on and look into the STIP compass. So the question that we asked here is, how could differing strategies for the energy transition be put into action? So here we put aside the question of comparing countries, and we wondered, well, if you formulate a strategy and push the fast forward button, how could the implementation, how could the policy design look like for that strategy? And so what we did is we used the topic model that we estimated before and applied it to the STIP compass. Here we used the textual information on the policy initiatives in the STIP compass. And well, to the right, you see the result of this. Strategies are in green, the STIP compass is in red. Sorry, font's very small here. And Well, interestingly, we see that apparently some strategic approaches receive more emphasis in the strategies, and other approaches receive more emphasis in the STIP compass. This is particularly notable for the transport topic, also for the hydrogen topic, and maybe for the renewable and wind technologies production topic. So maybe one could say that strategic approaches which get very concrete receive more attention in the STIP compass corpus. And then for the last step of our analysis, we considered, well, if we look at the best fit policy initiatives for these topics presented here, how can we characterize them in terms of instrument types, of target groups, and of policy mix themes? So here we looked at the relation of topics to these different kinds of flags or labels that you find in the STIP compass. And we looked at that on a very general level. So the STIP compass basically has a two-level coding scheme for instrument types, target groups, and themes. And we only looked at the upper level, the more general level of these classifications. And this is the output. So these are heat maps, and please keep in mind that the brighter colors indicate more heat in this case. Of course, there's a wealth of information in here, and it's hard to summarize, but I would like to point you to just a few things. Quite interesting here is the hydrogen topic, if we look at the different instrument types. Now, if we look at the second column from the left here, we see that the hydrogen topic has a relatively low share of direct financial support instruments compared to all the other topics. And on the other hand, it has a relatively high share of guidance, regulation, and incentives instruments relative to the other topics. So one could think of a case here where policymakers interested in hydrogen and innovation on a strategic level, and one could maybe develop an advice here regarding of what instruments could be suitable or would be most frequently used in this context. It's also quite interesting that if we look here at the policy mix themes, that well, if we look at the heat map here to the right, overall the public research theme in the second column from the left is the most frequent theme in connection with these topics here. But in the case of the hydrogen topic, the theme of innovation in firms is almost as important. Up here, there's even one case where innovation in firms is a more frequent topic than the public research topics, and that's the climate European policy topic. So we think that it's quite interesting to look at this here again. Usually researchers are targeted most in the context of these strategic topics, but sometimes firms and entrepreneurs also receive a lot of attention. And we think that these kinds of differences could be interesting in order to carve out different paths for policy action in relation to these topics. So to finalize, so basically we identified strategic approaches related to the energy transition and explored the implications for design. And we think that this is a way to derive policy intelligence from the data sets and at the same time bypassing the country level analysis, the country comparisons, and that might be a plus given limitations of the data. These are some of the findings that I already spelled out in more detail before. And as time is short, I will not reiterate on them now. We think that for further work, two questions could be particularly interesting. A, what factors relate to the focus on different strategic approaches to the energy transition? That would again be a question on the country level. And on the other hand, what could explain differences in policy design related to these approaches? By that we mean that, what could explain that some of these approaches tend to be more focused on public research and researchers as a target group. Other of these topics, these strategic approaches, tend to be more focused on innovation in firms and entrepreneurs as a target group. From our, so this is all still work in progress, but so far from us, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, David. I mean, it's really great what you decided to do in terms of identifying topics in strategies and applying that to the STIP Compass database. So I will leave the floor for Joseba for a comment.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the team for all the really good work. I think they go further than was expected at the beginning, and in fact, related to the question that we were discussing, I think we have just some initial ideas that can be relevant in the sense that we can have some ways to look at these both data sets, maybe together. I think it would be good to match the strategies in one data set in the other one, and have some ideas of how different strategies are trying to fix the problems in the energy innovation sectors. And just one thing, I would say it would be good to make. It's difficult for topic when you have a topic. Sometimes a topic is, in this case, is a technology. Sometimes a topic is a specific topic. For instance, I think there was one topic about Fukushima. So yeah, no, that's the case, David. So I think we need to when interpreting the results, we need to take a clear look at the topics to know what we are dealing with for to interpret correctly the results. So thank you very much.